Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's live session. So, guys, today we want to look at the implications of the tribunal judgment. We all know that they delivered a judgment which so many Nigerians have not come to terms with. Most people are like, no, we can't take this ruling because it does not reflect what we have in our constitution. Neither does it reflect what we have in our new electoral act. And even up to today, so many people are still shocked, with this final ruling. Looking at the faces of our justices, as you can see it on the screen there, these are the people we're hoping that they will help in redeeming our country. They will help, to set Nigeria on a path to victory. We're thinking that with this ruling, that they are going to show the entire world that the judiciary in Nigeria can be trusted. But honestly, the opposite was seen. The opposite was seen. So we've got some points to discuss, especially the implications. What does this ruling means for Nigeria as a country and for the Nigerian people? So I'm going to start by playing a clip, and then Dr. Tel will come in to make some analysis and also to bullet point some of the implications that you and I must know. And that's why we say it's a must watch. We are looking forward to going to the Supreme Court. The question remains, are we still going to get the same kind of ruling, or will something different come out from the Supreme Court? Nobody knows. So let's go into this and then we'll uncover some of those.
Shocking questions. They just thought it seems that the way it is in this country, it will be very difficult to prove any case against any president who wins election in this country from the look of it. That's what some persons believe, having listened to that judgment. I know the APC, of course.
Yeah, Doc, you heard what he just said, that it will be very, very difficult. So please just come in at this point and break down this.
Yeah, good evening, listeners, and thanks for making our time once again to be here. I think he's been too generous in his description by using the phrase very difficult. I'd rather go to the other extreme to say that if what these judges did and the way they went about it is anything to go about, then it is not difficult. It is practically impossible. That is, it cannot exist. And if any Nigerian had listened to me since April, since March, I did say that INEC chairman exploited a certain part of the constitution that played into his hand. And that is when he recognized the fact that the moment he declares anybody president, whether it is his brother, whether it is a lunatic who didn't even contest the election, and issue a certificate of return to that person, it will now depend on the courts to retrieve that certificate of return from that person. And him, knowing the game they were playing, that they are going to go this path of making it practically impossible for anybody to prove the case, it means that INEC chairman is actually the kingmaker. The moment he makes you a king, forget it. The next thing you're doing to challenge it, anybody is doing to challenge it, is a waste of money. And how do I know? I'll prove it. Number one is that according to our Constitution and our Evidence Act, the documents any petitioner must rely on to be able to substantiate that the election was fraudulent or the election did not go in accordance with the law is in the custody of the same INEC. One, that same INEC can choose not to release it to you. And the judges will tell you, you did not give us that document. Like they said day before yesterday. Are you watching the conspiracy here? You remember that INEC, the petitioners, Labour Party, PDP, they were begging INEC to give them this document. They refused. Even when the trial has started, they came to say it in the media. INEC still hadn't given us the document we paid for. Now, they even reported them during the trial to the judges. And the judges said in the hearing of everybody, mandating them to give them those documents. And they gave them those documents later on, reluctantly, in piecemeal. These same judges came back to say that even the one they gave, which Labour Party tendered, that they did not front load it. So the question here is, who can ever win a presidential election case in Nigeria when the INEC, that is the only body that can provide you with evidence, refuses to give it? And the judges that has the power to mandate them choose to stay idle. And that same judge will come to give judgment over something that only INEC can give, which INEC did not give, and which the petitioner reported to the judge. You know what it means? Let's put it this way. You have two siblings quarreling. Mommy. My brother, my sister took my AirPod. She took my AirPod. She locked it in her locker. And then you said, if your daughter's name is probably Blessing, you say, Blessing, where is your key? The key is in my pocket. Do you have your brother's AirPod? Yes, give it to him. And then she walked into the room. And then your son come again to complain. You say, what do you want me to do? And because, or not AirPod, charger for the phone. And then your son is supposed to call you. He did not call. And he said, Mommy, but I told you that my sister took the charger and I couldn't charge my phone. And you started punishing, not even discipline, because this one is not discipline. You started punishing your son for not calling you when you knew that his phone was dead and that his sister took the charger. Does that make sense? It looks like you and your daughter are ganging up to punish your son for something that he's incapable of helping himself. So if that be the case, who can prove it? This judge said that subpoena witness statement must be front-loaded. Do you know what is subpoena witness statement? It means that the judge must first of all sign that subpoena. And the panel, these 5 judges, was not even commissioned. These 5 judges were commissioned by the president of the Court of Appeal. And she commissioned them after the petitioners had submitted the petition. Yet the judges are saying that they should have, the subpoena witnesses must have front-loaded their witness statements alongside with the petition. But you are the person who is supposed to sign the subpoena, and you are not even existing when the petition was submitted. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? And do you know what's annoying me? I'm sorry to say this. Do you know what annoys me most with our journalism? The likes of Arise, the likes of Channels and Co. They have this Electoral Act. Why is it that when they bring these people, they don't produce a section of Electoral Act to them and print it for the whole Nigerian to see and ask them, can you explain to us what this thing means? Why do they keep saying, it looks like, and what do you think? What is your opinion? The law is a rigid thing. Don't they have legal department? Look at us. We don't own a media house, but we are digging the Constitution. We are digging the Electoral Act. We are digging up the Evidence Act and what have you. But these media houses, they will just come and say, oh, today we have this guest. He's a son. And this, please, what is your own feeling? Why don't you produce these sections of the law and drop it in their face and say, tell us what this thing means? For instance, Section 48 of our, I think we have it there. I don't know. I think we have it there. You know, the Supreme Court ruled on the case I keep referring to, which is the only case they have judged in this 2022 Electoral Act. And the Supreme Court said that whatever is in the regulation must be followed. And the regulation is that place where, because regulation can change in every election. If this Electoral Act did not change, this 2020, if this 2022 Electoral Act did not change, and we do another election, say in 2027, the regulation will still change because they may have gotten another kind of equipment. That is why the regulation, the Electoral Act gave them the privilege to choose any electronic means they want. So they moved from card reader in 2011 and 2015 to beavers in 2020. But they decided to jettison it. So now let's ask ourselves the question. Yesterday, I talked about the mischief rule. What is the mischief rule? When the court used to say, you must call witness from every polling unit, how can a petitioner like Peter Obi or Labour Party, who witnessed gross misconduct all over Nigeria, call as much as 20,000 witnesses? The question is this: how many days is this court session supposed to run? In the first place, from the day they submitted the petition until the end of that day, 180 days. And you knew when they were sitting, they were only doing maybe about 2 hours and they go. Even if you give each witness 5 minutes, can 10,000 witnesses come to testify within 180 days? And that is just one petitioner. Even if you ask the 10,000 people to write their witness statements, will these 10,000 people be able to finish writing their witness statement within 21 days that the law permits for them to submit the application, the petition? That is why yesterday, we gave them Section 137 of the Electoral Act 2022 as amended. I don't know if you still have it there. In that yesterday, that section says that as long as INEC can certify a document, there is no need calling oral witness. So the question I am still asking the judges is, when they read the Electoral Act, didn't they see paragraph 137 there? Because they use their mouth to say that oral witnesses of all the polling unit officers must be called. Didn't they see that the law says when INEC certifies a document, that those oral witnesses are no longer necessary? And secondly, have they forgotten as appeal court judges that certified true copy means photocopy of what you have plus stamp? And that as long as Labour Party was able to bring 10,088 blank results with INEC stamp, they have proved their case that there was no election in 10,088 polling units. Is that not what it means? So how can someone prove his case when the judges will be looking the law in the face and decide not to respect it? It is impossible, not even hard. Impossible is greater than hard, because something being hard means that you have to put enough effort to conquer it. Impossible means no matter the amount of effort, you're going nowhere.
Yeah, Doc, thank you. We are going to continue with this video. So we've gotten the first point, that with this ruling, it means that it will be difficult.
Impossible.
Okay, sorry, impossible to prove your case to prove that somebody didn't win, somebody you know that didn't win. You can't just come to the court and tell them that the person, no matter the evidence you try to provide. We know that Peter Obi and his team of lawyers, they did a very good job in giving enough evidence, but still they are telling us that how many polling units do we have across the federation that they expected them to go and bring from each of the polling units, forgetting that the IREF is there to give us everything we need. And INEC certified all these documents that they gave to the Labour Party. But at the end of the day, the tribunal is telling us that they didn't prove, or they don't have enough proof.
Can I say something again? You remember that in one of our sessions here, I did say that after I collected all the final address of both Labour Party and PDP, I printed them in this my office, kept them here. I went online, I printed Evidence Act. Evidence Act is the rule that will show whether they submitted it the right way or they did not submit it the right way. I kept them and I was checking every paragraph. And I'm saying, because I said, okay, let it not be that they will say technicality now. Okay, this one, did they get it well? I think based on this, the only one you remember I faulted, you remember that I faulted it, was the dual citizenship, Guinean passport. I told you that from every indication, if I'm a judge, the way it was presented, I will trash it. Even though I know it may be true, but it won't hold water. I checked it. People might say, but are you a lawyer? I am not a lawyer. I am not a lawyer, but I am a scholar. I am a researcher. And I am a researcher, a graduate of one of the best postgraduate PhD school in the world. I review journals for top journal companies in the world. I know what it means to read in between lines. I know what it means to have a marking scheme, a scale, which the Evidence Act is the marking scheme. The Constitution, the Electoral Act, the guideline are like the textbooks you read. The Evidence Act is like the marking scheme. The petitioner's final address is like the thesis. So you look at their references, which is the Constitution, the Electoral Act, the guideline. You compare it with the Evidence Act, you grade.
Doc, you said something striking, that INEC chairman is not like the kingmaker. Anybody he pronounces to be the winner automatically becomes the winner, because even if you head to the court, you might end up not getting justice. And that is what we've seen in this ruling. We've just seen that played out, 2 days ago. Honestly, Nigeria, I don't know if we'll ever get it right again if we don't get it right this time. And it's really so annoying to see the way that this ruling went. Let's just keep hoping that the Supreme Court, although so many people have doubted if the Supreme Court is going to, give a different opinion from what the tribunal has just given. Let's just keep hoping that something will come out of it. So I will continue to play this clip
about this judgment, and they think that this is
we are happy. We worked for victory, and we got the victory. And those who didn't do their homework well expected that recruiting social media mobs to intimidate and overwhelm the court will make the court do the unjustifiable. And if you look at the judgment, every reasonable person, particularly lawyers, know that the court, in writing a judgment, must base its findings on evidence which have been supplied by those who go to court to seek for one judgment or the other. If you refuse to do your work, and you expect, for instance, the judgment in several parts of it alluded to the fact that the people who came to appeal refused to bring evidence, substantial evidence, to the court. If you say that you have been shortchanged in an election, it is about figures.
Did I hear someone say evidence supplied? Is it not this same evidence?
The court will expect you to come to court braver than.
Can I say something, please?
Yeah.
Is it not this same evidence, for instance, 10 out of 13 witness statements that Labour Party supplied, which were subpoenaed witnesses? The court trashed it, saying that it was not front-loaded. Do you understand what front-loading means? Front-loading means that they should have supplied those evidence alongside with the petition when they were submitting it. Now, remember what I said to you, that the panel, these 5 judges, they were inaugurated after the petition was made. And they are the people who signed the subpoena. So how can you sign a subpoena for them to submit when you are not existing? Are you getting what I'm trying to say? Let's put it this way. It's like there is a quiz holding, and they say that schools, first and foremost, must submit their interest to partake in the quiz. All right? And then the panel will then be called, maybe to make sure that if school A submitted, they won't bring any panelists from that school A. And you were called in the panel. And the panel now is supposed to be the judge in that particular case. Now, is it not after the school had finished submitting their interest that the panel will be constituted? These judges are saying that the evidence they need to present, they should have presented the evidence alongside with their interest. Whereas the panel is supposed to sign that document, a subpoena document with which they will use to compel. For instance, I remember somebody was asking Shegun Okimbaloye that Channels was one of the subpoenaed witnesses. And Channels' statement was thrown away because it was not front-loaded. They say it was manipulated. How could Labour Party have been able to subpoena Channel without a judge signing it? And how could they have been able to get the judge's signature without the judge having been appointed to adjudicate over the case? And how will the judge be appointed if there is no case for him to adjudicate? So the process is, petition will be submitted. 1, judges will be appointed. 2, if there is any issue you now need, the judge will now sign the subpoena for you to go and mandate the person to come and submit it. But the judges said, no, you should have brought that particular subpoena. Did they even reason that subpoena, they are the people who signed it, and they are asking Labour Party to bring those things when they were not existing? I don't know if Nigerians are getting the sequence of what I'm saying, how they turn the law upside down. And this man here, who is supposed to be a former minister, looked us in the face and said, evidence which has been supplied that it was reviewed. Which evidence? When they tossed it away under technicality. They didn't even as much as give it. They said that the other expert witness, the Amazon girl, the girl that works for Amazon Web Services, that because she's a member of Labour Party, that they will not. The document she produced is a document. The thing is the document valid? Is a document. Are you trying to tell me that, okay, they brought their own witness? The only witness that APC brought is a sitting and a serving senator, a government official. So you see that, and he says, when they do your own, that if you don't do your homework, indeed they did their homework well. And we've taken time yesterday to discuss the plausible ways the homework was done. I am not going to revisit that again. Anybody who likes to go to our live session yesterday and listen to the probable homework that APC did. Fine for them. That is a kind of homework. But I know that the likes of Labour Party did an intelligent homework by gathering expert and smart lawyers to do their job. Okay?
To say that in polling unit A, this is the result that was given at the time of election. This is what INEC posted for me. And the court will be able to compare. Merely criticizing INEC is like making INEC the whipping boy.
But what do you think about, because before that election, there was a lot of commentary from INEC themselves about Beavers, IREV, how they raise hopes of several persons that look, you will see the results. And people thought, we didn't see what you told us.
It is about figures. You are supposed to have your agents in every polling station.
No, I'm talking about the IREV.
The IREV, the court have said that the law on INEC, the law which guides INEC operations, did not make it mandatory for INEC to utilize Beavers or IREC or whatever. The law, that's the finding of the court.
I'm sorry, if I want just...
Before he goes on forward, okay? Before he goes on forward, remember that in law, wherever the word shall is used, it means must. That's the established legal lingua anywhere in the world, including in Nigeria. Okay, let's just allow him to finish that so that we can summarize all this. First, what this man has said here is that the court finds that it is not mandatory. Fine. Let us hear the question the other guy wants to ask, and then we come back again and see what the law says, so that we can now ask ourselves whether even the judges themselves, whether they are above the law, whether they can manufacture a new law other than the one that is written, which all of us knows. Okay? So let's go back. Are you there now? Let's go back to the video.
That seems to disagree with something.
Yeah, but I just, before I come to you, Mr. Gidado.
Okay.
The court said it's not mandatory for INEC,
Yes,
right?
yes.
But the court also said it is up to INEC, going by the Constitution, to decide on how to...
And they decided.
Yes, yes. And INEC over and over and over, prior to the elections, kept saying the Beavers and the IREV is mandatory. That's part of their guidelines.
Yes, they did say that. For whatever reason, perhaps they discovered that they were not compared.
So is that not moving the goalposts in the middle of the game? It is not
about moving the goal. We are not guided. The court has said that the election is not guided by whatever regulations outside the law.
Okay, let's get to Mr. Gidado. Mr. Gidado, the law says INEC is at liberty to decide how it wants to conduct the election. And how to transmit its result. And INEC came out with a guideline that they're going to use.
Very well.
But the justices have said that, from what the teacher has said, the justices have said, it's not mandatory. So some argue that this is like INEC moving the goalpost in the middle of the game.
Very well. Now, I'm happy there's an agreement here that INEC was given the go-ahead to make guidelines based on the Electoral Act, the new Electoral Act. Because the new Electoral Act differs from the old, the 2011. The 2022 Electoral Act now says INEC, under Section 47(1), we've given you the leeway to make guidelines on how to conduct the elections. Now, and in doing so, in their section 137(1) of their guidelines, INEC said the following procedures shall be followed as far as these elections are concerned. And the word shall connotes compulsion. In other words, you do it. And you were being guided. INEC wasn't just given an unfettered power. They had to be guided by what the law says. Hence, whatever they were to do has to be in line with what the law says. And they were the ones that came out and said, this is how we're going to conduct it, by the use of beavers. And after the snapping of the Form EC8A, it's going to be transmitted real time. And Nigerians will have the privilege to compare what was snapped. Those that had the opportunity to see the Form EC8A would also view the portal and look at and compare.
Let's pause, please. Let's pause, please. I sent you a slide.
Nigeria is just a drama scene, honestly.
I sent you a slide. Now listen, there was something I said yesterday, and even the day before yesterday. I said the essence of our session since the day before yesterday, among other things, is one, even if they ended up using their power and their barrels of gun and their gavel in the courts to deny us this mandate, I mean us Nigerians, it is good for us to know when we were robbed, how we were robbed, and where we were robbed. Does that make sense? So now, that slide I gave you of section 48 of the guideline, just in line with what this man is saying, produce it for our viewers to see, so that it will not be just mere talking of these people in the studio. If it is possible, you produce it for them to see that what this man, who is, I don't know his name, the one that is wearing a black kaftan there, is saying is now what INEC themselves puts in their own guideline. They put it in their guideline and they are mandated to follow it. But if you don't have it, we could draw it here to a close. I think the man has helped us to close it for today, because when it is said that INEC is giving the leeway in section 47, subsection 1 of the Electoral Act, they now came to their guideline to mandate what will happen there. That is what Labour Party is saying. Why is it that that rule you set out in the guideline, which you use your liberty to set, that you did not follow it again? What happened? And the judges says that it's like INEC can even decide to wake up from the sleep and say that they are giving the liberty of even tearing the Electoral Act. That's what the judges are saying here. So, on that note, Nigerians, it's up to you to think and to ask yourself, where do we go from here? Will the Supreme Court, beautiful, Regulation 48A, it says an election result shall only be collated, shall, according to, I said shall, and this man said shall, and it is here. An election result shall only be collated if the collation officer ascertains that the number of accredited voters agrees with the number recorded in the beavers and votes scored by political parties on the result sheet is correct and agrees with the result electronically transmitted or transferred directly from the polling unit as prescribed in these guide, regulations, and guidelines. This is our regulation. Did the judges see this? And need I tell us something? I did not, this is in the regulation, but I actually extracted this in the Supreme Court case between Oyetola versus Adeleke. And why I went there to pull it is because the Supreme Court used their typewriter to type this thing. Now that Peter Obi and Labour Party is going to meet them in Supreme Court, are they going to forget this thing they said in May, or will they uphold it? Nigerians, if the Supreme Court goes the way of the appeal court, remember that they know the truth. Thank you. And good night.
Yes. Honestly, Nigeria, we really have to wake up. We can't just allow these people to take us for granted, because what our judges ruled. And like I said yesterday, the funniest part was that they just kept saying that the petitioner could not provide, And somebody was saying that, are they now blaming the petitioner for coming to court to seek for justice? It's like somebody is being beaten, and then you run to somebody for succor, for help. And then the person now turned around and started beating you. Why should you come to me for succor? That was exactly what happened, at the tribunal. They just kept saying the petitioner. They didn't even condemn some of the things that INEC did. They didn't even condemn some of the things that, some of the things coming from the present president. We know so many prayers that we have before our judges for them to answer, that Peter Obi presented during his petition. But they didn't go into some of the side that they feel is going to catch up on them. They kept calling on the petitioner because the petitioner did not do this, because the petitioner did not meet this criteria, because the petitioner did not provide this. They just kept, trashing out all the prayers that Peter Obi presented before them. And like you've heard, this man was being asked, why did INEC not uphold the guidelines that they came out and gave to the public? He said INEC has the power to decide. Yes, INEC decide, but they are mandated to keep whatever decision they come up with. That we didn't see. We didn't even see the judges condemn what INEC did, that INEC was not even supposed to have gone that direction. Honestly, Nigeria is something else. Once you have the money, you have this political influence. Look at APC people coming out to defend this ruling. It means that there won't be justice again in Nigeria. So please just permit me for 5 minutes.
So you've lost the election. You have no option but just to accept.
Okay, because journalists in this country spoke several times with officials of INEC on this same BVAS and IREV. They were here, they demonstrated what to expect. In fact, let's just even refresh our memory. I know we heard it time and again where the chairman of INEC was speaking about what to expect to the international community on this. Just have a listen to this.
The second thing we are going to do, and pretty soon, is to conduct mock accreditation exercise nationwide ahead of the election. We won't wait until the main election comes. We'll test the integrity of these machines with real live voters in selected polling units across the country. We did so in Ekitan Osho. It was fantastic. We are going to do so nationwide. And increasingly, our people are becoming even more excited about the deployment of this technology. So we are really happy. And in terms of the numbers of the BVAS machines, we always make provision for additional numbers of machines in case of malfunction or glitches. And there is always a backup. We have what we call the RA technical support that will fix the machines in the unlikely event of any glitches. And where it needs to be fixed is fixed, but where it fails to function completely in a polling unit, and from previous experience, there are isolated polling units, the law has a remedy that the commission should immobilize and conduct the election in the affected polling units within 24 hours.
I thought that's as clear as daylight.
You see, we have said it earlier. There's a law in place. It compares certain things. It does not compel other things. If those who went to court haven't had their results from the 133 polling stations, if they could have come with those results, hard copies of the results, to compare what eventually INEC released. If they did that, the fact that because use of INEC or whatever, it is about mode of, transmission of results, not about the quality or standard or status of the result itself.
Doesn't
what
that
decide-
affect? Doesn't the way you transmit the result affect the more
but
quality of the
you
result?
have to come and tell the court how it affects it. It's not for the court.
Okay, but clearly, I mean, you've seen there and you agree that INEC.
Can you pause again? I thought I had closed, I've ended this session, but you keep dragging me back. He said it's about transmission, but it's not. Do you know what is called collation? Collation is actually aggregation of results. Put that my slide again, that law again. Let them see. Let them see that section 48 is talking about collation. 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 Which is what happened when you leave the polling unit. Nigerians, read it. Your former minister is telling you that this particular session is not existing because he's APC. Look at it. It says, in an election result shall only be, meaning there is no other way collection can occur unless these conditions set out here are fulfilled. And what is it? It says, shall only be collated if the collation officer ascertains that the number of accredited voters agrees with the number recorded in the beavers and votes scored by the political parties on the result sheet. The physical result sheet is correct. That is one side. And agrees with the result electronically transmitted or transferred directly from the polling unit as prescribed in this regulation and guidelines. Please, Nigerians, which one would you believe? The man talking in the studio or the law that you can even print and read what the law says? Which one should the judges believe? Or Ladibekun's idea or what is written and printed? Nigerians, compare for yourself. And remember, the shall is the first thing. Say, shall only, meaning the only way this collation must happen is by this. So the question is, if the transmission is not done, how can they fulfill this section? How can they collate? How? What did INEC use to collate the results? Because what they use to collate the result must be on the IREV. IREV is not just a cinema screen for children to go and pay and watch. IREV is the cocoa. If it is not existing, computing results cannot go on. That is the law. You are seeing it here, my fellow Nigerians. For those of you who are saying, maybe they made sense, so are we sure Labour Party did what they must do? They did excellently well. Remember, even if I take this man on, remember that there is 11,000 polling unit result that Labour Party submitted. Did they look at it? And that 11,000 polling unit result were the one that the result is showing, which they have now used to counter the blank one given them. You remember we said it in this platform when I was saying that Labour Party couldn't be smarter than anybody, that they were really, really, really smart, that they first of all extracted the certified true copy of the blank result, 18,088, and then they matched it with 11,000 polling unit results. Which I also said that 11,000 couldn't have been where APC won. It is where Labour Party won. And if the average were only to 200, that is 2.2 million votes. And the judges, and this man is saying, where is the polling unit agent result? Go and read the INEC's final address. They even mentioned that 11,000 polling unit results. So where is that polling unit result today? Have they thrown it away? Nigerians, It's up to you to judge. So that when you're robbed, you will know when you were robbed, where you were robbed, how you were robbed, and who robbed you. Thank you. I think we have to end it because the more these people open their mouths, the more we keep coming back and keep coming back. We need to go now.
Yeah, let's just take some of the comments that we have here.
What is this saying? We are no more interested of working on the decisions of a democracy that plots intensively destroying Nigerian constitution. Since justice has failed to protect himself, the right of the Democrats then. I don't know. Section 40 should be printed and put put on billboard. Oh my goodness.
I think that's a very smart idea.
In fact, not on billboard. We should have put that billboard in front of the Supreme Court.
Honestly.
Because remember, I told you people, you can download it. But this one, I particularly went to the judgment of Supreme Court judgment on Oyetola versus Adeleke and copied it from their own so that it will not be that they themselves have never seen it. Let's say that the appeal court have not, even appeal court ruled in that case, but I don't know how they did it, So I clipped it from that place. And they used it in the deciding of the case of Oyetola versus Adeleke. We should tweet this thing. We should hang it in billboard. We should print. And like I was saying, why didn't channels?
I think not only this one step, we have so many sections that are even good to go on billboards. I think so. This is really a very good idea.
Oh my goodness. For instance, remember what I said? Why didn't channels print, show that man this thing? That thing I was saying. Why? Why? They were saying INEC promised, INEC did not promise, INEC said. They brought Chatham House. Chatham House is not the Constitution. Chatham House is not the Electoral Act. They should forget whatever, they should forget what was said in the Chatham House. Let them just print it and say, Ogam, former minister, please, this is the law. Can you explain this? It says, IREV and beavers are inconsequential and has no effect. It's only them that interpret the law as it suits them. INEC can do as they deem fit. Falsehood of continuous rigging to subvert credible election. Now, you remember yesterday I said something. I agree with Damian. Yesterday I said that there is a law written and printed, and there is a law in their brain. Whenever the one in their brain aligns with the one on the paper, they begin to say, Constitution, our law. But when the one on the paper is against them, they will deploy the one in their brain. And that's what they did to us. The masses suffer from whatever that is on paper. The establishment, they create new one out of their brain when they feel like INEC did. Because what it means is that all the political parties going into that election, they were all looking at this, except APC and INEC that has another law that they will apply when it suits them. And that's what they did. Justice Adam, no. You people are still creating content on YouTube for money using tribunal. I'm sorry for this. I'm sorry for Philip. Is this what you think? If this is the intention you think that we have, then I'm sorry for people like you. Because if they said, if we people like us had not come here, will you even know that there is regulation section 48? Have you ever downloaded it, Mr. Philip Offa? Do you have a copy of the Constitution? Do you even know how those things are framed? I don't know how old you are, but it's because of this mentality. That is why we are where we are. I want you to go and start creating your own content and start making money. Start doing what I'm doing, and I'll be viewing your channel every day. I challenge you to go do it. No, give me that, Philip. I don't think I'm done with Philip. Let me finish reading. I just read the first sentence, okay? Give me that Philip again. Say something again. The connivance and giving a total acceptance of INEC and APC agreement, even rejecting all the witnesses, is the weakest standpoint. Nigeria judiciary will soon be rubbish and will cry. Don't worry, we don't know. We leave them to God. I think Philip, I didn't finish reading what Philip wrote, so it doesn't look like this thing. What has social media and freedom of citizens to express themselves got to do with judgment giving? Okay, thank you, Damian, for helping me. Okay, let's go. Thank you. I think we have to draw it here finally.
I'm sorry. Yeah, Doc, thank you very much for your contributions. Thank you very much, our viewers, for being a part of today's session. God bless you all. Please do well to like this video so that YouTube can recommend it to others. If you've not subscribed to our channel, please do so, and don't forget to turn on the notification bell for future uploads. Thank you very much. We really appreciate your time, and have a very sound sleep tonight. Bye.